Now, there is a popular adage that says, when you hit a child with the right hand, it is advised you call the child back with the left hand so the child doesn't feel like you've done whatever you've done out of hatred rather than in trying to correct that child out of love. If you don't love me, check me now to watch video to the very end, please! Now, today we want to talk about Afrobeats. You see, I did a lot of research and I found out that there is a current trend that's been going on all over social media, not just on YouTube. Now, if you do a lot of researches, you are going to see that there are videos that have been propagating a narrative that I really want to say it doesn't make any sense. And now, what's the narrative? There's a narrative that's been going on around YouTube, around all social media platforms, and they are saying that fraud money was what made Afrobeat what it is. Now, what I'm trying to say here is, it's very annoying and it doesn't make any sense that this whole narrative is coming from the people who are actually Nigerians. Like, that's where this whole narrative is coming from. Now, one of the major reasons I'm making this video is because misinformation is as bad, in fact is worse than not having any information at all. Because now look at the whole theory here. If you have over 5-10 videos saying it was fraud money that funded Afrobeat and made it what it is, now imagine if there is someone out there who doesn't have any information about Afrobeat and comes and says that it's actually fraud money that made Afrobeat what it is. Now, what narrative are you trying to put in that person's head? And this is why I made that statement in the beginning of the video so you could understand it. Now, this is not to criticize anyone or try to make content creators who made such videos feel some type of way, but this is just like clearing up the whole narrative. All right. Now, I want you guys to understand something. Afrobeat was propagated by Fela and Nicola Pokuti, right? Now, I want you guys to understand something here is Afrobeat that you're seeing, Fela was an international star. He was signed internationally. This man went as far as doing shows way across Africa, Europe, wherever you can think of. He went there.
You know, as a foreigner, I must be happy to be in Berlin, because when I'm in Berlin, I'm here to learn something new.
Now, not to talk of artists like Majek Fachek. There are so many artists like that all came from this Afrobeat to high life to all, we can categorize all of them under Afrobeat, right? And now nobody talked about fraud money then, because these people were just normal hustlers and who knew what they were doing, right? Now that means Afrobeat had the structure for over the years. Now I saw that this whole talking about fraud money coming into Afrobeat is such an annoying thing that you begin to see that it is from your own people. I know I always keep saying this thing is, it's worse when somebody outside is telling a story, a narrative, and it's different when an insider is making that same narrative. You know, that is where it becomes like it's true. But we all know that this is not the fact. See what the fact is here. The Nigerian government played a very huge role in making Afrobeat what it is. It doesn't matter how much money you're going to come in. Okay, let's assume that you're coming with $1 million of fraud money and you're coming into a structure that is not functional. There's nothing that your $1 million is going to do. There's no magic is going to play there, because it's almost like coming to a place where you just like you want to put your money in water. You don't even, there's no structure. You don't understand what's going on there. So this narrative of trying to say it was fraud money that made Afrobeat what it is what I'm trying to deconstruct now. The earlier the better we begin to correct some of the narratives that we are trying to put out there online. Now, why am I saying the Nigerian government did this thing is, if you could recall back in the early 2000s and down, no, from 2000 down, we used to see a lot of hip hop on our TVs. Now, I'm not talking of cable TVs then. I think it was those when we use all those antenna, you know, where you be shaking your antenna to catch network. So then we're catching, you know, there was NTA, there was a popular NTA, there was a lot of local stations, right? Now what the Nigerian government did was they mandated these local stations to be playing more of our content, more of local songs, our what you know as Afrobeat today. So that was the rule the Nigerian government played. Now what the Nigerian government did is, even if you did not like what was going on, you didn't like what we're seeing, the kind of videos was poor compared to what we're seeing from the other side, from the hip hop, from the Americans, because then it was always hip hop that was all on our stations, right? But you see, what the Nigerian government did was to make sure that you saw more of the Nigerian content. Now, you seeing those content, you know the quality is poor, the video quality is poor. You're seeing these things, right? Up until people started seeing this like an opportunity. You know, it's like an opportunity that they saw, and investors started coming in. Now, the narrative that because you hear probably Olumente sing, Olumente was literally signed to Keke and D1, who owns Ken's Music, right? So no matter the money that Olumente might probably say he came with his Yahoo money, he couldn't flaunt a label on his own. Now, not talk of the Kelly Handsome them. Where are they? Like, they couldn't do it on their own. You might look at the likes of Charlie Poppy, the likes of Zlatan, talking about fraud, talking about the kind of song that they do.
See me see trouble, am I a Yahoo Boy?
It doesn't mean that they brought the money into the music or anything like that. There's already a structure that's existing, which the Nigerian government played a very huge role. I'm not saying that there are no one or two that's happened, but they are negligible. Do you understand? So, because if you try to push a narrative that it was actually fraud money that made Afrobeat what it is, like that's serious cap, honestly. Fraud money, how much was the fraud money they were really making? There was a structure that was already existing. You can see people, Afrobeat you're seeing today, it started going international from the days of Ella. Started going international from the days of Ella. It's not as if it started going international because somebody brought one fraud money from nowhere. No. They were silent investors. They were odogus them that were just in the corner, and when you go and meet them, you tell them that it's in my music if you like. You know, there were structures already in place. It's only that the only thing that broke that whole control of, and people started doing what they wanted to do, was when internet actually came in and became mainstream. Everybody now saw, okay, we can actually put our music on the mainstream and try out our luck there. Maybe that's when you can even be saying probably, okay, this is where, okay, if somebody sees money, you know, gets money from whatever means and he wants to try that out. But it wasn't Afrobeat itself had a direct influence from the government itself. It's not, let's stop this narrative, because I see that a lot of people want to push this narrative that it's fraud money that made Afrobeat what it is, and some artists talking about it. It's just, come on, there's a huge lot of structure that was laid down years. We are only reaping the fruits now. Some of you don't even know that there was a time that Wizkid even had to, refuse a BET award because he wasn't given in the presence of others. You know, he wasn't recognized like others were being recognized. He was given the award backstage. These are structures I'm talking of. It's not just because you just want to make a content and you start trying to demarket what you've built. Like, do you know how big Afrobeat is? It was built on structure that was existing that the government had to push. So I'm not trying to make it seem like I am against any content creator or whatever you do. I'm only saying that, please, we should not bring in this pushing this narrative that it was fraud money. No. I don't care whatever any artist is going to say, or if you feel if it's fraud money from you, and it's good, but I'm saying this is not the true history of how Afrobeat has become what it is. Afrobeat became what it is today because the government became directly involved in it, and that is why it is the way it is today, because the government came in. That is as simple as that. And I'm not if you really watch my video, you know I'm not a fan of the Nigerian government or anything, but I mean, like, when you look at the structure of how Afrobeat has gone so far, you should know that there's an underground work that was done years ago, and that is the fruit we are reaping now. So if you know you love content like this, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and let me hear what you have to say in the comment section, because I mean, like, please, if you know that it is fraud money that made Afrobeat what it is, let me hear what you say. But if you know that Afrobeat is because the Nigerian government got involved, let me hear what you have to say in the comment section. I'll see you guys some other time.